Okay, guys, I have a very important training today. This is going to be one of the best tools that we've ever got. It's a new tool and it will be extremely useful to you. It is called Informative Book. It is a way to suggest available units super quick and easy, but it also is going to change the way that we send quotes. And so that is really important. This is going live immediately, so please pay attention to this training, watch it from start to finish. If you have any questions, contact management. Okay, so first of all, I just want to talk to you about the Informative Book tool. So what is Informative Book? Well, what it is you have a guest that is coming during certain dates and you want to see what properties are available. Well, right now our normal method is that we go here to the tape chart, we open up the tape chart, and then we set our filters, and then we look through the available units, and then we copy the links, put them into an email, and we send them to the person that we're working with. Well, Informative Book makes this 1,000 times easier. Informative Book will automatically make a list of all of the properties that are open for a specific date period that meet a certain criteria. Now, the only reason you will still want to be aware of the tape chart, and here's why. There may be instances where a property won't show up in Informative Book because maybe the guest is booking, like there's one of the dates that the guest wants that is booked. On the tape chart, you're going to see that, okay, that property isn't open, but it's only one day off. Maybe they'd be willing to stay in a hotel one day. Maybe they're adjustable with their dates, whatever it may be. So Informative Book is super useful, but the tape chart is still, it still may be the most accurate way to see what is available and also how available it is. You know, if a guy wanted to book for Hawaii Haven Pad the 7th through the 12th, he's not going to be able to do it because the 12th is blocked. But that's only one day, so maybe there's some way to work around that. But Informative Book, you wouldn't know that. Hawaii Haven Pad would not show up. So let me show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so let's go to Informative Book, and then it starts off, you just put in the date. So someone, let's say, is looking for October the 12th through October the, let's say, the 17th. They have 2 adults, no children. Area, just so you know, we have another filter for this. You don't have to use the area one. We do want to, if you click this box, it will ignore the restrictions. So for instance, right now, this is 5 nights. So it's going to basically make it so anything like if it required 7 nights for these same dates, anything that requires 7 nights isn't going to show up in this. But if you click ignore restrictions, then it will show any properties that are open for those dates, even if they have a 7-night minimum for those dates. Okay, so the other thing, you could search for a specific property, which you're rarely going to do in here. Normally what you're going to do is you're going to come in, you're going to select, okay, they want to go to the North Shore. So I'm going to select Oahu North, Oahu Northeast. Basically any properties that are bigger than, you know, that are big enough to sleep 2 people. I'm not going to select any of the bedroom types. I'm just going to leave those open because really they could do any of those. And then for price, let's say that they want to stay under $200 a night or under $300 a night or somewhere in that range. Okay, so I have that in there. These are the special filters. Again, we do not use these. These do not work at this time. Now you click search available units and watch what it does. It will populate immediately a list of all of the units that are available that meet that criteria. Here are all the units that are open that meet their criteria. It also gives a breakdown. So let's say somebody's super budget conscious. Well, I could say, okay, that one's real cheap, $928, $1,100. That's not bad. That's a pretty good deal. Let's see what else. $1,120. You know, I could send all of them, but I'm only going to send these 3. Okay, so I just select them, and then I click email quote. Okay, now I'm not actually sending a quote for these properties per se, a quote and rental agreement. I'm just going to basically send them these units. So they're not going to be able to book when I do this, but I'm just going to send them the suggestion of the units, and I'll show you how. So I click on email quote, and then you will notice that I have in here these options that I can put into this box here. Okay, so at the bottom I have all these units, okay, in here that shows me the units that I'm going to email to that person. But then there's like, okay, well, what do you want to put up here above the unit suggestions? Well, you can type in a custom message if you want and just say, you know, hi Joe, here are some units, you know. But normally what you're going to do is you're going to choose where it says property suggestions, and then it will populate this. It will say Aloha, it'll put in their name. Below are some units that are available for your trip. Let me know if you have questions about them. I may have some wiggle room on the price depending on the property, mahalo, and then it puts in, your contact information. So that way it saves you some time from typing. However, let's say that we wanted to put in instead, we actually wanted to send these people a quote. We'll talk about that later. You actually would send them a quote and rental agreement. The problem is that you're sending multiple properties. And when you email a quote and rental agreement, it will only send it for the first property on the list. So it would only send it for this. So when doing informative book, whenever you're just suggesting properties, you're not going to select this. Okay, we're going to go over that in a minute. So property suggestions is what you're going to put in the guest name, email, yada, yada, and you send it off to them. When it gets to them, I'm going to show you what it looks like. The email that they receive will look as follows. Let me pull up a sample of this email. Okay, this is what it looks like on the guest end. Okay, it says, hi, here's some units that are available, it has your information, and then it shows each of the units with a picture and the descriptions of each one. They can click on the links and it will actually take them to the property. Now, down here at the bottom, it has all this rate breakdown stuff. That isn't going to be there. That's just there temporarily right now. But that will be gone, and it will just show the units. And so very quickly and easily, you can send someone an email to someone suggesting the units that are open that you think will work well for their stay. Okay? Now, next, if we actually want to send them a quote and a rental agreement so they can actually book the property, we're going to do something different. Okay? What we're going to do is we're going to go to the tape chart, just like we always do. This process is all the same. Everything is the same except for the part at the end. So you select the dates that the guest is going to stay. Always remember that the dates are nightly. So this guy is actually checking out on the 9th, not on the 8th. That's the night that he's staying. He checks out the morning of the 9th, but he's booking the night of the 1st through the night of the 8th. Okay. Then obviously I go down here to the bottom. I click on make a reservation so I can actually send him a quote that I can modify. I put in the number of adults and children. Let's say it was 3 adults. It's a standard deal. I put in the dates for the guest that they want to stay. I come down here. I can modify the rates and fees if I want to. I put in my password. Okay. And when I put in my password, I then come in here and I can modify all of the rates however I want to do it. And then once the rates are the way that I want them to be, I click email quote. Now again, we're at this same thing. It shows one unit that's suggested. So in order to actually send this quote that you just created, you have to select, this is the difference now. We used to not have to do this. You select email quote and rental agreement template. You put that in there, and then it will automatically plug in the entire quote that is going to go to that person, including your pricing matrix, however you decide to change it. It tags that in there. And so that is how it works. Okay, so this is the new quote and rental agreement. This is how you send someone a quote. You then click on send quote, and it will send that quote to them just like per usual. The difference is you now have to select the quote. Okay, now for those of you who've never done this before, that is how you send a quote. Please keep in mind you do not need to fill in any of this information down below if you're just sending a quote. That is only if you are actually making a reservation on the spot or putting a hold on a property. Okay, which we'll go over in a later training. So that is the process. If you want, so to recap real quick, if you want to suggest a bunch of units to someone that are open, you want to see what's open and then send them to someone, you use the informative book tool. To send a quote, you go to the tape chart. You then, on the tape chart, select the dates you want to send a quote for. You come down here to the bottom. You do not click on email quote or modify quote. You click on make a reservation, and then you fill in this top section, everything where it says email quote and above. You fill it out. You then select email quote, and then you select, when you do this, you have to put in, like right now, all it's going to do is send one property, and it's going to be blank. It's going to send, okay, this is a property and nothing else. You got to put in the information. So the way you, instead of typing it all out yourself, what you do is you just click on email quote template, and then it puts in our email quote template into here, including our ever famous Book Now button, which is the button that they click on in order, or the link that they click on in order to actually book this unit. And then you click send quote and it goes to the person. Okay, so that is how you do it. That is the way that you both use the informative book tool and that you send quotes effective immediately. Okay, if you have any questions, please contact management. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.